Resident Evil Requiem marketed a return to the RPD, but when you finally get there, you're gone in minutes. And that completely ruins what should have been the best part of the game. I was pumped to return to the Raccoon City Police Department. There it is. Because I played 8 Resident Evil games in the lead up, and somehow this felt off. It just didn't play out the way I'd expected. If you've played Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, or their remakes, you know the RPD isn't just another location. It's one of the most iconic survival horror spaces ever designed. It's layered exploration, scavenging for key items to push forward, and using codes and clues to find different resources. It's backtracking that matters, pathing that punishes you for not checking the map or carrying too many items. And it's always constant pressure. You're never safe. You waste ammo on enemies that don't die. A man in a hat tracks your movement. Lickers keep you from running through the halls. Every corner peek is nerve-wracking, and every room is a destination in itself. And Capcom knows that. They put the RPD front and center in their marketing, a reward for surviving to advance. But what happens when you get there makes no sense, because you finally get there and you're not exploring it, you're escaping it. I spent roughly 20 minutes here in total. Most of them were maneuvering empty hallways, and the rest were evading one specific enemy that the game delays your final fight with. You're not learning the space, there's no time for dread to build, you're rushing, and then you're just gone. It annoyed me on my first playthrough and in general, because imagine the full possibilities of the RPD as it were in the earlier games. I went back and played the Resident Evil 2 remake after Requiem. Locked doors you slowly work your way through, routes that open up over time, and how the game forces you to manage your inventory and where you are in relation to enemies and safe rooms. Those enemies force you to rethink how you move through the building, because if you go the wrong way and you no longer have the ability to hold an item that you need to crank open a gate, or if you don't bring the bolt cutters to work through a lock, you will not be able to progress and you'll actually lose time. The RPD isn't supposed to be something you pass through once and are done with. It's supposed to be something you learn and something you have to survive. You need to thoroughly comb the place to get everything you need out of the experience. And it feels like a full, fleshed out environment that just isn't there in Resident Evil Requiem. The fact there are no zombies in the once zombie infested police station just kind of breaks the act of the environmental pressure that narrow hallways and a lot of enemies that don't die easy make you uneasy with in the remakes of 2 and 3. And if Zeno really didn't want Leon to catch up, he surely would have brought some zombies along, or at least made sure they were patrolling the hallways to give him a tougher time, instead of having to use his secret weapon we learn later. If you're going there as Leon, why not make it an action-heavy sequence, like every other area with large mobs? Fighting the Blisterborn in that roundabout reference to Resident Evil 5, that had way more decision-making and action-based gameplay with Leon than actually stepping into the RPD where it all started. The section isn't bad. There's that familiarity and warmth you get from re-encountering these areas. Capcom literally gatekept this area though, and then doesn't meet the hype that it was presented with. And that's not even counting the fact that the game splits you from the Leon storyline while you're in the police station. Some of these sections feel like small snippets that could have been 30-second cutscenes that turn into 10 to 15-minute playable sections. It's an annoying thing when you're playing a section you like, or a character or genre action that you enjoy, and then you're jolted away from it to an orphanage section that feels like a waste of your time. You understand that the plot is there to further the story and your understanding of why things are happening, but it's just annoying to have these breaks you have to sit through. It really isn't about this specific location as a whole. It's about how the game builds sensation, builds tension, and fails to maintain it. There are several sections like this. Resident Evil is notoriously a game that utilizes these to prolong the game time, where you're backtracking a lot. The progression is more just a willpower test of monotonous grunt work to accomplish objectives and push the plot forward. And that's where the real critique comes in, when it's a gatekept section, a hyped section that longtime fans are looking to see what happens once you get back there and looking to relive that experience they had in the earlier games. And I get it, there are a ton of reasons this probably happened. You have multiple characters, you have tons of separate map areas you have to piece together, and Leon has to be more action based than he was the first time he was introduced. He's not that young, scared kid anymore. I get that, but none of those design decisions make the player feel any better about the experience in an opportunity cost. You have a returning enemy, the Tyrant, in the police department. The game delays that boss fight outside of an arena it already has. The Tyrant fight outside feels like it's in an area where it's just mano-y-mano. It's not really anything that makes you think about what the map is showing you. And it really signifies that this is not Mr. X from the second game, because if that were the case, why not have that fight in the main hall? The main hall of the Raccoon City Police Department would make a perfect central stage for that fight. And it's the things like this where Capcom and the Resident Evil development team has an opportunity to break new ground, not just a stalker, but something you can actually fight and finish, deal damage to and take damage from, but be able to actually win the fight. That would have been insane. Considering how many areas there are in the RPD, you could even make this a multi-phase fight with Tyrant, with Xeno, because you have the lockers, you have the library, you have the storage rooms. The RPD should have been the highlight of Requiem. Instead, it ends up feeling like a missed opportunity. I loved Requiem as a whole, and I think it's top 3 in the Resident Evil series for me, but leaving this iconic area felt like a that's it moment. That's it? What did you think? Did it feel too short, or was it enough for your experience? Let me know in the comments and subscribe if you want to see more like that.